Hey, do you want to make a podcast? Spotify's got a platform that lets you make one super easily, then distribute it everywhere and even earn money all in one place for free. It's called Spotify for Podcasters, and here's how it works. Spotify for Podcasters lets you record and edit podcasts right from your phone or your computer. So no matter what your setup is like, you can start creating right now. Then you can distribute your podcast to Spotify and everywhere else podcasts are heard. Video podcasts are also available on Spotify, and when you want to take your conversation with your fans to the next level, Q&A and polls are the best way to get them talking. With Spotify for Podcasters, you can earn money in a variety of ways, including ads and podcast subscriptions. And best of all, it's totally free with no catch. I've hosted my podcast on Spotify for Podcasters since day one, so I highly recommend you give it a try. Download the Spotify for Podcasters app or go to www.spotify.com/podcasters to get started today.
This episode is brought to you by Been Verified. Help chip away at the uncertainty that comes with online dating and use BeenVerified.com, a leading platform for online background searches and people search reports. With their powerful search tools and extensive database, you could easily gather information about potential dates, which may help you find peace of mind before taking that next step. You can never be too safe when it comes to dating. Get 20% off today to help take control of your dating game. Visit BeenVerified.com/podcast.
Friendships are some of the most important relationships you could have in life. They begin and end at any time, and the growth of them can be so beautiful. Today, I'm sitting down and having a candid conversation with one of the first women I became friends with here in Los Angeles. She taught me something amazing today. Relationships are a covenant between two people, no matter if it's platonic or romantic, and that bond is sacred ground and should be treated as such for as long as that relationship is benefiting the two who entered it. Let's unpack finding trust in friendship. What is going on, beautiful people? You are listening to the Affirmations for Black Girls podcast, where we focus on personal growth and cultivating a healthy relationship with ourselves. I am your host, Tyra the creative, actress, content creator, and mental health enthusiast. Let's jump into today's episode.
Hey everyone, Raven here. This week's affirmation is, I deserve to have amazing people as my friends. I deserve to have amazing people as my friends. I deserve to have amazing people as my friends. I deserve to have amazing people as my friends. I deserve to have amazing people as my friends. I deserve to have amazing people as my friends. I deserve to have amazing people as my friends. I deserve to have amazing people as my friends. I deserve to have amazing people as my friends. As I look at an amazing friend.
But thank you so much for taking time to have this podcast episode with me.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, I know that you listen to the podcast. Actually, before
Yes.
we get into our first question, what do you like about the podcast?
Okay, what do I like?
I
love
Oh my
the
God.
podcast. I don't know. I feel like it really does feel like organic. Like I feel like I listen to it in the mornings. I think I've only ever listened to it in the mornings, and I feel like it's like, okay, I'm having like my morning routine with my friend. You know what I mean? So since I'm like always like alone, it just feels like, oh, my bestie's here with me, because like me, I like speak out loud. Like when you're saying something, or I guess is saying something that I kind of like resonate with, I'm like, yeah, like that makes sense. Like me too. You know, like it's almost like conversational. So
I love that.
And it's just positive, right? So yeah,
that's the vibe that I was going for. I really wanted to feel like when I first started this podcast, I was like, I wanted to feel like just a conversation. Like you just called your best friend up and we just chit chatting. Like we just catching up. We just talking about what we're going through and stuff like that. So that's actually really good to hear.
Mission complete.
I'm super excited. Okay. Raven, did you know you were one of my first friends I made in Los Angeles?
No, I had no idea. That's actually a shock. Are you serious?
Yes. So when did we do Fila? It was in 2018, but when was that? Like what month? Actually, we could figure it out.
We can, because I feel like
we can figure that
we
out
had
right
pictures,
now.
yeah, from it.
April 20th, 2018 is the day that we met, or like that was like a whole like week.
Yeah, it was
thing.
like a weekend. It was some days.
Yeah,
sure,
it was some days. So I've talked about this before on the pod, but I used to do brand ambassador work, and that's how I met Raven. Yes. We were literally on lunch, and you were at where I don't even know what the restaurant was, but the pizza place.
It was a pizza place.
Yes. Yeah. And you were like, "Oh yeah, I'm a YouTuber." And when I say I was about to explode, I was literally going to explode in there, because I was like, I want creator friends so bad. And I had only been in LA for 3 months at the time when I met you. So, right. I had just got here. So Raven is one of my first friends in LA. And it's so crazy because I feel like most of my friends in LA I met in the first year. And people that I meet now, we don't become as close friends as y'all. Like you and Janae, like y'all are like my ride or dies, like for real. And I met Janae the first month, like my second brand ambassador job. So you're one of my first friends out here.
I felt so happy though when I was like, because I didn't know anyone, so I was like by myself. Like, I'm just gonna go to lunch, whatever.
Really?
And
yeah.
You were, yeah. So, oh man, wow! I didn't even realize you were like that friend. Okay, wow.
Okay, so. Y'all, we thrive on your input and value your thoughts. Have a burning question, an inspiring topic suggestion, or a personal story to share? Do not hesitate to reach out to us at affirmationsforblackgirls@gmail.com. Your submissions might just make an appearance in an upcoming episode, so stay tuned for that. And we believe in the power of your voice. So let's take a deep dive together and foster a space where your experiences and perspectives are honored and shared. This portion of the episode is sponsored by AG1. At this point, y'all, we've been talking about AG1 for almost a year, and I cannot tell you enough about how AG1 has enhanced my daily routine. One thing my friends are constantly getting on me about is whether or not I'm eating enough, which is directly related to me getting enough vitamins and nutrients on a daily basis. Here's the thing. I love AG1, and I have been taking it since last year because it gives me peace of mind no matter what I eat throughout the day. AG1 replaces your multivitamin, probiotic, and it does it all in one simple drinkable habit. It's filled with over 75 vitamins, minerals, and whole food source ingredients that keep my gut healthy, increases my mood, and most important to me, gives me peace of mind. I know that as long as I take AG1, I'm covered nutritionally no matter what goes on throughout the day. I take AG1 after my workouts. You guys know I'm a boxing girly and I need my nutrients. I have 1 scoop, put it in some water, I shake it, and I drink it. The number one reason I love AG1 is because it's easy and it takes the mental guesswork out of making sure you're putting your health first. After all, this is the Affirmations for Black Girls podcast, and we aim to be healthy inside and out. So, if you want to take ownership of your health as well, try AG1 and get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D and 5 free AG1 travel packs with your first purchase. Go to drinkag1.com/affirmations. That's drinkag1.com/affirmations. So check it out, and I've also linked it down below in the show notes. Now, let's get back into the episode. My first question, since we're talking about finding trust in friendships, is who is your best friend and why is this person your best friend?
Okay. So off the bat, 2 people come to my mind. So when you say a best friend, I feel like I have my friend Tiffany, who I've been friends with since I was like in 4th grade. But I also have my friend Erin, who I've been friends with since college. And so I feel like they both serve different purposes. It's like if I could combine like those 2 into one person to say they're my best friend. Now, Tiffany, if she hears this, I love you, girl, because honestly, I mostly, whenever I would say like, oh, Tiffany's my best friend, but like, I feel like I always say that Aaron is like my best friend. So they serve their purposes in my life, like as far as like the different conversations I can have and how they are supportive in my life. Like I feel like for Aaron, it's more so like if I need that, like, I mean, just emotional support as well as just like that goofy, like we just do all type of random stuff. And then Tiffany, she's like a good time and like, you know, we can like turn up. And like I said, she's been in my life longer, but it's like we just established a friendship like over that time.
Is
that makes
Aaron
sense.
the guy?
Yes.
Okay.
Right. Yeah.
All
so
right,
Aaron's
cool.
the guy.
Yeah.
And I just feel like, yeah, like he's more so like me too. Like me and Tiffany were kind of like opposites. That's why people were like, it's so strange that you guys became friends and friends so long. Like we're opposites. So we like balance each other. But like Aaron, like it's like we're like the same person. So yeah.
I love that. As far as like me, I would say, but I agree with you because I have a high school best friend and I have a college best friend. So my high school best friend, I would definitely say is my friend Daria. Talk to her all the time. She currently lives in Boston, but she wasn't always my best friend.
Right.
I met her right after Hurricane Katrina because she lived in New Orleans and she transferred, and we were friends, but we were just friends. Like I had other friends that I was way more close with. But once I got to high school, in ninth grade, my mama and daddy filed for divorce. So I was going through like a lot. And I don't know what it was specifically, but I was like, this girl's my best friend. Like I can talk to her. I can confide in her. I don't feel uncomfortable like showing how I feel as far as like outwardly. It was just easier to talk to her, and we've been friends ever since. Like, you know what I mean? So she would definitely be my high school best friend. But then when we get to college, that's when it gets a little, that's when it gets like crazy because I feel like I have a lot of best friends and I don't think that it's a problem.
See?
Right.
Okay.
Exactly. I don't think it's a problem to have multiple best friends. So I would say, honestly, I have 2 best friends from college. And no, I can't even say that. I have a handful of best friends from college, but my best friend, like if you only had to pick one, I would definitely say it's Bria, my best friend Bria.
Yes.
And I would say that because I love her. I love her so much. So Bria has actually been on the podcast. We did an episode called Finding Luxury in Daily Life where she shared with us her journey to luxury living. So if you haven't listened to the episode, definitely go check it out. It is the most popular so far on the podcast. It's doing so well. So definitely go check that out. But I would say that she is definitely my best friend. I go to her for advice. I confide in her. I don't feel judged when I'm talking to her. Like I just know that she is such a kind person and she will never like steer me wrong in a sense. She won't hold anything back from me. She'll let me know, Tyra, you're wrong for that. Or Tyra, yes, I'm cheering for you on this or whatever the case may be. So that's why I would say she's my best friend.
Right. Yeah. And that's literally all that you just said is why it's like I'm like Aaron's my best friend because like we said, like he's not judgmental. He gives like really good advice, like advice that if I came out of my body came like in a time where I'm in a different headspace to talk to myself, that's what I would say. Yeah. You know what I mean? So yeah.
I love that. I love that for you. So since you brought up that your best friend is a guy, I wanted to ask you, do you have more guy friends or girlfriends? What would you say? Or is it like across the board?
Equal? I definitely have more closer guy friends than girlfriends. And I feel like growing up, I always like had more guy friends. And then I tried to like explore having more girlfriends, but I don't know, it just doesn't work out. And it's not like I'm like it's not that they don't work out because of like drama things. I feel like I really don't know, like because it's not like I'm like, you know, brawling out with anyone, but I just don't. And I feel like I feel more myself, I guess, around my guy friends. I don't know. It's weird.
It's so interesting that you said that because I feel the same way. I feel more of myself. It took a while for me to be able to open up completely to other girls or other women. And I don't really know what that is. Like, I'm not a therapist and I don't, I'm not a researcher on this
Right.
subject, but it has been way easier for me to open up to guys. Like I have a lot of guy friends, and I've always had more guy friends, but I always thought it was because I mainly grew up with a bunch of guys. Like on my mom's side, I have two first cousins that are around my same age, and I have a brother. So it was always two girls and two boys on that side. But when I go to my grandma's house on my daddy's side, it's all boys and me. Until my little cousin Jazz was born. She's the youngest out of all of us. So we are like a few years apart. So we didn't really hang out a lot when we were younger.
Right.
So I was always hanging out with the guys. I was always doing tomboy stuff. My mom was also in school. So I was always with my daddy. We were always riding four-wheelers. I was always cutting wood in the yard. We were always like, you know what I mean? Always doing all of this outdoorsy stuff. And I don't want to say that it's like boy things or manly things, but I was spending a lot of time around male figures in my life. So it became comfortable in a sense. That is what I was used to. That's what I would gravitate towards versus going play with Barbie dolls with a bunch of girls. No, I want to play with my GameCube with my cousins, or we can go outside and play kickball or something like that. You know what I mean?
Right.
Or basketball or something. So I would definitely say in this, like 27-year-old Tyra has more girlfriends, but Tyra, before moving out to LA, has more guy friends, hands down. Yeah.
Yeah, now I feel like I have more girlfriends than I have had in the past, like what you're saying. And I think maybe that just come with, you know, I can't talk to my guy friends about everything. And a lot of like girl conversations I just never had.
Yeah.
And now I feel like I have to have them.
Mhm.
Like I need to have those
Yeah.
because just me holding it in or like trying to go to Google is not as valuable, I feel like, than going to like my friends, you know, like recently I had called you about a situation and it's like, I literally don't do that.
Yeah.
Like I just don't. I just deal with it by myself. So that was like a lot for me. So I feel like now establishing that with females and like what you're saying, I mostly was around a lot of guys when I was younger because I honestly, back then I wanted to be a professional football player. Like
Girl.
I literally, yes, like I would be out in the field. Like we had this thing called the field in my neighborhood and I would be out there playing football with the guys like almost every day.
Oh God.
Like
two-hand
literally.
touch. Two-hand touch, or you was playing like
Man,
y'all
we
was
were
tackling?
Okay. So I was like rough. And then I loved like adventures. Like I was the one that was going and like, you know, the little storm drains. Yeah.
What?
My grandmother would be so mad if she was here to hear this. But yeah, and then like we had like these like ditch things. Like I grew up in Florida and I would like literally so adventurous, climbing on trees, and like a lot of the girls in the neighborhood, that's not what they were doing. You know? So I feel like, and I liked playing video games. So that's probably where that came from.
Yeah, 100%.
For sure.
I don't know. I'm going to do a little bit more research on why some girls tend to go that route versus hanging out with girls and all of that kind of stuff. But also, since you brought it up about like you contacting me, I want to dive into that a little bit because when you contacted me, I didn't expect you to do that. But I also want to say I had to do the same thing in a previous situation with my best friend. And I was so nervous to even call her to like share all of this stuff. So it's like, what made you call me?
I feel like I know that you wouldn't be judgmental. And at that time, I was like, man, I need to talk to somebody that I know is like, one, I feel like you're a really good listener. And two, I felt like if Tyra has anything to say to me, I know it's going to be of value just from our previous conversations. So that's why I called. And I was nervous. But at the moment, it's like, I was literally like freaking out. And I'm like, okay, usually I always go to my mom about things, like aside from my therapist. But I usually go to my mom and I'm like, my mom's probably exhausted right now. You know what I mean? So I was like, okay, like who can I call to like, you know, that's a female. Because I could call my best friend Erin, but it's like, okay, I need somebody that's a female.
You wanted a female perspective on what was going on.
So yeah, I just trusted whatever you had to say. It would help me to be in a better place than what I was.
Yeah, because when you called me, I was just like, my mouth dropped and I was like, she's calling me? She's calling me to help with this situation? So I felt honored, you know what I mean? And I think that definitely like what am I trying to say? That definitely deepened our friendship.
Oh, yeah.
100% when you did that. Cause I would have just never expected you to call that. And I know we aren't talking about the situation specifically, you guys, but Raven just called me with something that she was going through at one point, and she was just really raw, open, and vulnerable about the situation. And it just made me feel like, oh, wow, she really considers me a great friend.
As I do. I will second that and agree. You don't have to think.
Yes. I consider you a great friend as well. Like I said, you one of my first friends out here in LA. Like, okay, like, thank you for game. Okay, so my next question is, has a friend ever done something to make you question them or their character? And did you confront them about it, or did you just let it slide? Tell me the tea.
Okay, so I used to be extremely open with like saying how I felt about things. Like if someone did something, then I always would just say it. I guess I always just thought that it was okay to just say it until I started like saying things that bothered me.
Yeah.
And I could see the shift in like, especially like my female friends, like how they would feel about me saying like, oh, this bothered me. And I think for me, I kind of like drew back from saying. So to answer the question, yes, I have confronted my friends about things that I did not like, but most of the time it turns out bad. And I don't know if it's because I kind of like coined myself as like the yes girl.
Yeah.
And like I'm always just like, yeah, I'll do this. Yeah, I'll do this. Even if, you know, it's not something, I don't really know how to explain it. I just feel like I've always been like the person that's non-confrontational. If somebody did something to me, like I just learned not to say anything. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I think as far as like I go, I don't think maybe in like small situations, some of my friends have made me question their character, but nothing crazy, you know?
Yeah.
But as far as confronting them, I used to be the same way. I wouldn't confront anyone because in my mind, I would be like, oh, well, they didn't mean it that way. Or I would try to make that excuse for them versus bringing it to their attention and saying, hey, this is how I felt about that. And that's how I've just been my entire life. And I think that definitely stems from not having healthy boundaries, because when something does happen where they hurt your feelings, or they say something that shouldn't have been said, or they do cross a boundary, you need to address that in the moment. And that's not something that I am used to doing. It's something that I'm still learning how to do as well, but it's very much so needed in this day and age. But I've never confronted a friend when the situation has happened. I've always taken time, and by time I mean like a week, 2 weeks, which is honestly too long in some situations.
Right.
Before I went back and said, hey, remember when you did this 2 weeks ago? Because then it's not fresh anymore. They may not even remember what's going on. So the conversation doesn't necessarily go the way that you want it to go, because you are recalling facts and they're saying, well, that didn't really happen. This is my take on it, or whatever. So getting it done in the moment is really something that I'm working on, because sometimes it just got to be nipped in the bud right then and there.
Right.
But it's so uncomfortable.
It is. And it's only, and like I said, see, I think I'm like the reverse. Like, okay, before I would just say how I felt. Like I just, okay, you did, this happened. Okay, here, I'm saying it right now.
Yeah.
And I feel like people would always make it seem like it was like me nagging. But I just knew back then, like, okay, this is what I like and what I don't like. And when I started getting like negative responses, then that's when, like what you said, I would wait like a week. Like I'm replaying it. Like I have it literally like anxiety. Like how am I going to say it? How can I say it to where they don't take offense to it? And it doesn't matter. Like literally in like most of the situations, I could be saying it the nicest way.
Yeah.
But if they feel like attacked, which is usually the case, then, and like you said, then they're like, well, why didn't you say something like that? And I'm like, well, it's nerve-wracking.
First of all, I have to reflect on how I feel, have to gather my words. I have to figure out what I'm going to do, actually process the situation. So that definitely goes into it. But yeah, it needs to be done. But I think like, especially like when you get negative responses, it could be, because I know like if I were on the receiving end of it, if I were to give a negative response, it would be because I was embarrassed, or I felt convicted, or I felt reprimanded. So I want to, well, here's this is what I have to say. You know what I mean?
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of people go through that. And even like when you are working on yourself, you still have a little like, I could do this, but let me go ahead and go about this the healthy route.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, our last question.
Dun, dun, dun.
Raven, have you ever lied to a friend? If you have, why have you done it? And was it for their benefit or their detriment? And did you eventually tell them about it if you did? And if you didn't, why didn't you tell them?
Right. Okay, you want to answer it first?
That's a loaded question. Have I ever lied to a friend? I don't really be out here lying. I don't be out here lying. Have I ever? I can honestly say, as far as like a real lie where I'm not like joking and saying, girl, I just want $1 million. Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like stuff like that.
Right.
I have never truly lied to a friend. Oh, I'm lying. So actually I lied to Bria back in college, but it had nothing to do with her. She asked me a question about myself and I was super embarrassed about it. She asked me something about my high school boyfriend. Okay. And I was like, no, nothing, none of that ever happened. No, we're not talking about this or whatever the situation was. And I just recently told her that I was lying.
Oh my gosh.
So she felt so deceived, but I eventually told her. And the reason that I lied to her was simply because I was embarrassed to even say yes or whatever to that situation. But that's the only time that I can even recount that I told like a real lie to a friend, and I kept going with it because I don't be wanting to be out here lying.
Right.
Yeah, like, because there's no reason to. Like, I'm very much so a person, like, especially if it's a friend. First of all, I'm only friends with people that I like. Second of all, what we lying for? Like, I literally can't fathom lying. But I have been lied to. So I'll just tell this quick little thing. So when I was in high school, I was cheating on my boyfriend. I was cheating on it's high school though. And by cheating, I mean I was texting other high school boys. That's it. And I went to ask one of my friends, hey, did you tell my boyfriend that I was talking to this other guy? And she was like, no, I didn't. But she didn't know that he had already sent me screenshots of the text messages.
Oh, wow.
So I was like, literally from that day, I was like, wow, okay, well, we out here lying. And when she said no, I just said, okay. And in my head, I was like, I can't trust you, because this was a person that I not confided in necessarily, but like I was like, oh, this is what I'm doing. Like, I'm talking to this guy. Oh my God, he's so cute, and all this kind of stuff, like sharing all of this stuff with you, and you going to tell my boyfriend that I'm cheating on him. Granted, I was cheating on him, whatever. I was texting these other guys or whatever the case may be, but you're supposed to be my friend. Like, you don't even really know my boyfriend. He's not even in our grade. He's a grade under us.
What was the reason?
What was the reason? Literally, what was the reason? So that was a time where I've been lied to, and I automatically knew that it was a lie. So I still remained friends with her. I just knew that our friendship could only go so far.
Right.
Yeah. So what about you?
Okay, so when you asked that question, my heart started beating really fast. And only because, yes, I have lied to my friend. Now, I like literally despise lying. Like, I do not like lying to my friends, like to anybody. But it's two things actually. So one, I have lied to my friend. Now, I have not, and I feel like I have not said it to her verbatim, but when she asked me about it, I just dance around the question, or I just kind of be like,
Right.
Because I'm so nervous. So like back in college, I'm just going to say one of my friends asked me about something as far as like it being sexual. And me, I'm like so uncomfortable talking to anybody about anything, you know, like that. I can say that word, right? Yeah. Okay. And so she asked me, and I was like, I mean, like,
wait, but why did she ask you?
Because she's the type of person that's just kind of like, I want to know.
Oh, okay.
And like for me, because like I just did not engage in like any of that type of stuff. And so it was kind of like she's just waiting for like the moment. Like, I'm in college now. Okay, like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And then I'm just like, And so like to this day, I still like, and it's crazy because I think about it so much for the fact that I don't lie. And that's literally the one thing that I've had to like hold on to. And I keep saying like, before I leave this planet, like I have to like tell her like the truth, you know what I mean? And the other thing I feel like I've lied about to like my friends is like my mental health. And I feel like I've lied to my friends about my mental health a few times because I just hated being the friend that was always sad or like emotional. So for me, it was just like, yeah, I'm okay, but really like I was not okay.
Yeah.
And so that caught up with me, and I did like tell them like a situation with like Aaron when I was like, yeah, I'm fine, but it like caught up with me, and so I had to tell them. So that lie, I feel like I came clean, and I told most of my friends, especially like last year, like, you know, I was going through a lot. Like, you know, I was saying like, I'm good, like when you're asking how I am, but I really wasn't. So I feel like that. But yeah, I hate lying. One, I just can't keep up with it, and I have a really bad guilty conscience.
Yeah.
Like, it sucks. I literally will not be able to sleep. But yeah. I've been lied to a lot, though. Yeah. Like, a lot. And then I always be like, is it because I haven't told my friend the truth about it? But literally, I'm like, why do people like lying to me? Like, I hate that.
I think people in general just be lying. Like, they be out here telling little white lies, and they, oh, well, it's okay.
Yeah,
it's fine.
No, literally. And like when I catch people in lies, they're always just like, oh, it's okay. I mean, it wasn't that. They'll say like, it's not that big of a lie. And to me, I'm like, then why'd you do it?
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's just like, especially with the lies, if you know that they're lying or whatever, you got to nip that in the bud right there. Hey, look, white lie, black lie, whatever.
Right.
You ain't about to do that to me. Like, I'm going to have to remove myself from this situation. Like, I ain't got time. And that's something that I am really growing in as a whole, is like vocalizing my boundaries, because I don't be lying to you, so you ain't about to do the same thing to me. Like, I'm just not about to do that. It's not going to work.
Yeah. And I agree.
You guys know what time it is. It's time for our fun closing segment. Today, Raven and I are going to play Count Your Blessings.
So this segment is called Count Your Blessings, and you have to tell me 3 things that you are grateful for, excited about, something that's making you smile right now in your life.
Okay, so one, I would say that I'm just grateful for God's position in my life.
Amen.
Because, yes, I know it may sound cliche, but honestly, like, yes. 2, I would say that I'm just excited for my new mental health journey, and just my relationship with myself is just like blossoming right now, and I hope to just keep that going. I feel like this is the first time I'm really being like honest with Raven. And 3, I'm really grateful for my friends and my family. Like right now, I feel like is a time where I'm really becoming close with like my friends and my mom, and it feels wonderful.
I love that. I really, really love that, because I feel like, especially in like this, I don't even know what to call this time in life, but the time after college, but before you have a family, you still figuring out what you want to do with your life. I feel like that is such a huge growth phase, especially with like picking your community and picking your family and friends, as far as like, hey, these are people that I want to remain close with. These are relationships that I want to cultivate. I've been saying the same exact thing. And that's actually one of the things that I am grateful for, is my growing relationship with my mama, my daddy, and my brother, and my best friends. Like just being able to have candid conversation and really talk about like what you're going through. Like, for me specifically with my family, meaning my immediate family, my mama, my daddy, and my brother, for the longest, like talking about their divorce was taboo for me. Like I could not. And recently, within the last like couple of years, I've been able to talk to my brother about it, like, and really see like how he was feeling during that time, because we were all so in our own, like we all had stuff going on at the time. Like when mama and daddy was going through the actual divorce, PJ was dealing with how he was feeling about the divorce, and I was also dealing with how I was feeling about it. But now me and him are able to like at least start talking about that. And I think that is so great. And as far as like my mama and daddy, I have been asking them more intrusive questions as far as like, not even intrusive, but like reflective questions, and asking them about like their mental health and how they're feeling and what they love about life, what made them smile today. And I just love that our relationship is growing in that way, because especially growing up in the South, you don't really talk in that way to your family members. Like, there's so many people who don't know their family members. And by know them, I mean, if you had to tell a person everything about this person, like what they like, their dislikes, their mental state, all of that, people in the South couldn't really do that. They'd be like, oh, they fine. No, what are they going through? What are they struggling with? What are their obstacles? Like, where are their opportunities to grow? So I'm glad that's my biggest blessing right now. Like, I'm super excited about that relationship, those relationships growing. I'm also excited about great friends. Like I said, opening up to my friends. I did that as two, so that's actually cheating. But great friends, a lot of my friends are moving out to LA. You don't live here anymore, but you're here right now. So that's amazing. But a lot of my friends are moving out to LA. So that's honestly so exciting, because I get to create a community. Like, it really feels like LA is home. Like when I go back home to Louisiana, I don't really have many friends there anymore because everybody has like moved away. But I have that same sense of community that I had when I was younger, like in high school. I'm starting to feel that way out here in LA, and I absolutely love it. And my last blessing is consistency in the gym, and my overall mindset about my brand and Tyra the Creative and Affirmations for Black Girls. Like, everything is growing so much, and my legs starting to look good. Like, I run a mile every day. Not every day. Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. I run a mile, do a little workout. So I'm excited.
Yay.
And God is good. These is good blessings.
These is good blessings.
Yes. So do you have any closing remarks, Raven? Anything else you would like to say, whether it's to the listeners, anything about finding trust in friendships, whatever the case may be?
I will leave you and the viewers and myself with this. Honestly, value your energy, value yourself when it comes to friendships, all relationships. Friendships, I feel like, are a form of relationship. It may not be like romantic, but it's still a covenant between two people.
Ooh,
like, I have to trust you, you have to trust me for our friendship to work. It may not be as deep as like a romantic partner to some people, but it is very valuable. And I feel like one thing that my mom used to always say to me, like, if it's not reciprocated, don't participate.
Ooh.
Like, so just leave it alone, and don't let people just hang out in your life because you're afraid to like cut that tie. It can be positive if you just feel like, a friendship, like what you're saying about your friend in high school, like, it's positive. Like, okay, we didn't have to fight or anything, but now I realize where I stand with you. And so, yeah, just value yourself and your friendships, and just be honest.
I love that. Oh, I love that. Relationships are a covenant between two people.
They are.
Platonic relationships are a covenant between two people as well. I love that.
Yes.
And that is all we have for you guys today. Thank you guys so much for listening, and join us again next week for another episode of the Affirmations for Black Girls podcast. Make sure you subscribe, rate, and review, and follow us on Instagram. Thank you for listening. Hey, AFBG family. If you're enjoying the conversations we have on the pod, I would greatly appreciate your support. Please take a moment to leave a review on your favorite podcast platform. Your feedback helps us reach more listeners like you who are seeking inspiration and empowerment. And don't forget to share the podcast with your friends and loved ones. Together, let's spread the positivity and help uplift even more Black girls on their journey to loving themselves a little more. Thank you so much for being a part of our growing community.